Hey guys! Thank you so much, first of all, for all of your support going into Volume 6 and, with the opening and all of the little tidbits of songs that you've been hearing. My dad and I have been working really hard, him especially, and I'm really excited for you guys to hear everything. Today I'm going to be doing a Q&A video just because you guys always have such good questions for me, and sometimes it's hard for me to actually just answer them on Twitter or on social media. I hope you're entertained. It's really not going to be that entertaining. I'll try to give you guys as many answers as I can. There were a lot of questions, so I don't know, let's get to it. Derek Hare asks, using only 3 bands or solo artists, what would be your dream concert? I really wish that I could see Glass Animals. They're sort of a new band I've been listening to lately. Along with that, Kimbra's gotta be another one because I go to all of her shows and she's just insanely talented. And thirdly, probably Radiohead because, I'm angsty like that. Question 2. Insane in the Rain music. Oh, what's up, Carlos? He asks, how has having big credits attached to your name affected your experience at Berklee? Good one, good one. So if you guys don't know him, this is Carlos. He also goes to Berklee. I would say it hasn't really influenced it in a huge way, but it definitely does help a lot when I can show my peers and show musicians that I'm interested in working with, like what I can do, or I can just show them all of this music, just this plethora of diverse stuff that I've done with my dad. I would say that RWBY, no matter what, is always a help to me. Absolutely all positive effects. Now, Floods of RWBY, his question. Hi, Dominic. Have you had input on any RWBY songs? If yes, which ones did you help influence? Okay, I definitely want this answer to be as clear as possible because sometimes I think it gets misconstrued what exactly my role is in RWBY. Am I just a singer? Do I write? Do I participate in the instrumentation or the production? And the answer really is no. My dad does mostly everything. Basically, he writes a melody for me and I will come into the studio. Sometimes I will get a demo of him singing it and I'll be able to learn it a little bit beforehand, but sometimes I have no idea what I'm walking into. I stand there and I listen to it and I get a feel for, what's the mood? Are we upset? Are we happy? Or are we angry? And those are usually the RWBY moods. Every once in a while I will help with small decisions that have to do with lyrics or have to do with melody, but for the most part, really I am just a session vocalist. So I wrote the motif that played while Salem's history was kind of being uncovered, and that was kind of huge for me because that was a really big moment in the series. It was really, really cool. It made me feel really good to see my name in the music section of the credits, as well as vocals. It brought me a lot of humble, good, warm feelings, and I'm hoping that I can continue to do stuff like that. Arnold, hello Arnold, lovely to hear from you. Arnold asks, what are you afraid of, physically or mentally? What scares me a lot is it's not death. I wouldn't say it's exactly death, but the death of my loved ones, people that I care about, has always really bothered me. Anytime I have to think about it, my parents, it just, it is such a gross feeling. All I know is that the selfish instincts within me, the human instincts, kind of bring out this okay, well, how am I going to live without them type of thing. It's not even I'm afraid of death for them. I don't even know exactly what death is. None of us really do. So I'm not really afraid for them. I'm more afraid for me and how I will live knowing that they're no longer around. Sorry to get depressing. Besides that, I will say fear of failure, because that's kind of every artist. But yeah, let's stop with the fears. I wanna have a good time. Dan Cooper asks, what do you do to get into the zone for recording? Well, let's see. Well, I always have to warm up. That's a pretty standard singer thing that every vocalist should do. But besides that, every once in a while I will kind of delve into my own personal issues or problems and kind of just dig out whatever those feelings are that I'm going to need to be portraying through these RWBY songs. It can be a really good exercise in acting vocally, and that's pretty cool. Darimations asks, so does your father do the background quartet vocals separate or while you're recording? He does all of them, like all the time. It's really impressive, and he puts a lot of work into it. And he does not do it while we record. He'll either do it post melody or me recording time, or he'll do it afterwards. Anthony asks, what is the best part of your day? Something that never fails to make you smile. For me, it's honestly your music. All of the RWBY and RWBY soundtracks are absolutely magical. Thank you so much, Anthony. What is the best part of my day? Well, honestly, I find myself having these moments all of the time, basically, where, I'll be really stressed with school or really just aggravated, and like sometimes I just want to give up, like I just want to quit because I'm so overwhelmed with whatever work I'm doing, or I'll have like self-confidence issues. Doesn't matter. I will just sit in silence or in whatever, city sounds and music maybe, and I'll just look outside and sort of view everything and feel this surge of, just appreciation and happiness just for being alive, really. I often think to myself that it's important to be thankful for everything that life gives you, not just the positive things, like the negative things as well, because us as human beings are just really, really lucky that we get to feel things like, whoa, I'm alive, I'm a human being, what am I? Those kind of moments honestly really, really help me get through life. Trevi asks, will you be going to any conventions like WonderCon, a smaller version of RTX, and have a fan meetup? Also, I'm too afraid to say it, so I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, Chief. All I can say is boo. Thank you, thanks so much, Trevi. So, I never really have a schedule, and neither does my dad. We never really know when we're going to appear at conventions exactly. If I had to guess, we will probably be at RTX this year. Will we be doing a show? I really don't know. The only conventions we tend to go to are the ones that are in Boston, like PAX East and Anime Boston. We did a show at Anime Boston last year. Going to events like WonderCon or other conventions that are kind of all around the country, we don't tend to do, just because my dad gets really, really busy with the amount of content that he has to create for the show. So sadly, probably not, but hey, if you're at RTX this year, we almost always go to RTX, whether we're playing a show or not, so hopefully, please come. Liam asks, when will the Volume 6 soundtrack for RWBY be available for purchase? So basically, the RWBY CD kind of comes out around the same time every year. It's just that the process takes so long because most of the songs that you hear in the show aren't even fully written until after the show is over, or at least that season of the show. So if I had to give you a guess when Volume 6 soundtrack was going to come out, I would probably say around the months of May or June, because that's usually when they end up coming out. Will it be on Spotify then either? I don't know. I'm not the person to ask about that. Holler at your boy, Rooster Teeth, because I don't know. Y'all Need Beezus asks, do you change your voice when singing for a specific character? I would say I definitely do, but because we are now on the 6th volume, I feel like I've gotten to understand what each character's tone is pretty well. My voice will always kind of stay me, but definitely have that energy it's supposed to have. For most all of the characters, I do try to sort of shape my voice in a way that fits for them. Devin Olson asks, who are some of your musical inspirations? I've been listening to the Beatles since I was a kid, and they were the first band that my dad ever showed me, so always the Beatles. They're always an inspiration. I love Radiohead, also love Muse. Used to love Pierce the Veil a lot. I would say vocally, besides Kimbra, who I basically listen to every day. Paramore, I also absolutely have loved for a really, really long time. Hayley Williams, I feel like in some ways taught me how to sing. Also, growing up, I listened to a lot of KT Tunstall, Sheryl Crow, that type of stuff, because that's the stuff that my mom would sing. when I would go and do like fun like bar gigs with her. Those are my inspirations. I definitely have more. Like I have an endless list of inspirations, but we only have so much time. Miguel asks, will someday your band OK Goodnight do a tour around Europe? I would love to go and see you, but America is pretty far. I don't at the moment foresee it happening anytime soon, but I'll stay open to it and I'm sure the band will. You know, I've also wanted to like tour with the RWBY music before as well. So I'm hoping that whether it's one or the other or both at some point, I would absolutely love to. But in the near future, it's definitely too hard. So absolutely, I'm hoping for it, but will it happen anytime soon? Probably not. Don't want to get your hopes up. Disappointed Pomeranian asks, have you any pets? If not, what pet would you like to have? Yes, I do have pets at home with my dad. They are Stan and Ollie. They're wonderful, wonderful pets. Definitely the best I've ever had. They had like 7 pets growing up, so definitely very used to pets. Absolutely love them. Marwa asks, if you were a character in RWBY, what would your semblance be besides making your enemies cry their hearts out at your beautiful voice? Thank you so much. I love this question. It's awesome. I love the world of RWBY. I've always thought that it's super, super cool. I actually think I would love to like maybe be a shapeshifter. I always wanted to be Beast Boy in Teen Titans, throwback. If I were in RWBY, I'd kind of just take what I could get and be like, I'm here. I'm happy to be here. So, Tiny asks, what is it like writing and recording songs for RWBY? Does it get really emotional, especially when you have to think about the character the song's for? Yes, thank you, Tiny. Well, first of all, doing what I do for RWBY is absolutely incredible. It never stops surprising me and confusing me, like how many people listen to the music and how many people love it. I just am always really, really grateful for having RWBY in my life. Does it get really emotional? Yes, absolutely. Usually the only thing I can do is, if I have a sad song to record, I basically just have to listen to it like 30 times over and let myself cry and cry and cry and cry, and then okay, fine, like now I'm ready to go, because I've cried literally as much as I could have. And I do feel some emotional attachment to the characters after, you know, singing their like thoughts for so long, in a way. Brittany Wood asks, Brittany's really, really sweet, I've met her at con, she's totally lovely. She says, best advice to tell other musicians. I'm gonna go with best advice for like vocalists, and really, everything that I'm gonna say sounds very generic, but I can tell you everything works and everything is worth it that I'm gonna tell you. Drink water all the time, like literally all the time. Make sure that you are understanding of your breath support system, because that has been my biggest flaw and definitely the most problematic thing for me throughout my whole career so far. The other thing I would say is also make sure you get an understanding of what your range is and don't strain yourself too much, because you want to be able to build up some good stamina, especially if you are going to perform for other people. That's definitely the hardest thing that I've had to learn. The last thing I'll say is just try your best to believe in yourself, because it's definitely something that I've struggled with. It's something my dad struggled with, and that just goes to show you, my dad is so incredible, but he barely ever thinks that he is. Don't give up, because the more you practice something, the better you will get at it. I hate to say that, but practice really does make perfect, and it's true. But you can never reach perfection. Callum asks, are you wanting to strictly stick to making and creating music, or are you open to pursuing other side roles, such as voice acting, music distribution, etc.? I'm definitely not just going to be sticking to music in my overall career. People ask me about voice acting all the time. People always want to know if I'm gonna end up like voicing a character in RWBY or something. And all I can say is I am definitely interested, like thoroughly, and I really hope that someday it can happen. I've done acting on stage. I did it in high school, and I really enjoyed it. And besides that, yeah, I have a lot of other things that I actually like to do. I'm really excited for my future plans. It's just gonna take a lot of work and a lot of effort. Ventus asks, what do you hope for most to do in 2019? 2019 for me is going to be another year of college, another year of music school, definitely another year with RWBY and with my new band. I definitely plan on churning out some of my own original stuff in 2019 as well. Whether it will be actually out to the public yet, I'm not totally sure, but I'm going to do my best. Definitely going to share more of my photography. 2019 will definitely be a year of extreme progression. Jess asks, are there any genres of music you'd love to do vocals for that you haven't yet? On RWBY soundtracks or anywhere else, and do you have a favorite RWBY song? Okay, a few questions. Definitely, I want to expand into other genres of music than just rock and metal. The band that I'm in right now is definitely sort of primarily progressive rock, but it's really cool. Definitely stylistically a little bit different for me, especially because I'm writing my own melodies and such. And apart from that, you know, RWBY kind of seems to go all over the place. We have a lot of themes that kind of just spiral out of control every once in a while, and there's some really, really fun songs. I love funk and I love indie pop. I also really like experimental genres. I'm kind of all over the place, so I don't know what you can expect from me, but I know that what you can expect is some very diverse stuff, and that is exactly what I want to give you and what I want to give myself. So yeah. Do I have a favorite RWBY song? It seems to never matter how often I get this question, I can never answer it clearly. I can name off a few. One is definitely I May Fall from the first season. I also love Armed and Ready. I think everyone is kind of in agreement about that one. I do really like Bumblebee, regardless of like whatever complications came along with its release. I also really like Smile. I'm a big fan of Smile. Eloise asks, are any of the songs in the RWBY soundtracks considered at all canon? If so, do the RWBY writers have any say in the lyrics that go into the songs? Lots of people seem to have this question, so that's why I'm going to answer it. I'm not going to be answering questions in this Q&A that regard what perspectives songs are from, like what characters' perspectives these songs are from, because that always, no matter what, is kind of supposed to be up to your interpretation. And sometimes it's really obvious and sometimes it's not. I wish it didn't start as many fights as it does, but at the same time, the role of the artist is to create the art and to let it be interpreted by whoever wants to interpret it. So I'm gonna say that none of the songs are ever exactly canon at all. My dad has said a few times before that he always just writes his own music that connects to the show in one way or another, but he never wants it to exactly be canon. He just kind of has fun with it. For instance, Bumblebee, like that was really kind of, even Boop, like they're just kind of expressions of things that he likes to have fun with, and as seriously as some people take it online, it's definitely not supposed to be that serious, and it's for artistic fun, musical fun. That's why those songs are there, and I would say they're not canon. Kyle asks, what was your favorite song to record and sing through when recording for each RWBY volume, including volume 6? Gonna have to narrow this question down probably. I really love recording the ballads, even though they can be really emotionally draining sometimes. I really like recording Weiss's songs, like Path to Isolation, because I feel like most of the songs that are written for her kind of just, I'm able to utilize the best parts of my vocal textures, if you will. And I just really like emotional songs, you know. I'm a sad boy at heart. So for now, I'll say Path to Isolation. BD Prototype asks, which songs are the most difficult for you to sing and which songs are the least difficult? When you say most difficult, a few songs come to mind. Armed and Ready is definitely one of them. At least it wasn't too hard to record, but performing it tends to be very difficult. Probably the most difficult to record was This Life Is Mine. That is a very, very difficult song. Least difficult to sing, definitely the ballads, at least technically. The ballads always tend to be in my really comfy range. So songs like All Our Days and All That Matters. And the really fun, sort of funky, boppy ones like Bumblebee, those are kind of always a little bit easier. Jonathan asks, awesome, well, I guess my question is, who is your favorite RWBY character to sing about? I really love singing from Weiss's perspective, just because she is a really, really emotionally complicated person, and she's been through a lot of trauma that is, I don't want to say fun to reflect, but like Weiss is just such a special character, and she's had so much crazy development just throughout the whole show. Probably Yang as well. I really like singing from like villains' perspectives too. Gives you a sense of their thought process, and it makes them more three-dimensional, so you can actually maybe relate to them. D Mills asks, did you ever think the music in RWBY would ever be as big a part of the show as it is? Absolutely not. When the trailers were introduced to me and my dad, they were very, very simple. It felt like it had a lot of potential, but it never really felt as if it was going to turn into a phenomena of any kind, like on the internet. And I feel like that's definitely what it's turned into. I certainly never thought, and my dad never thought, that the music would become as popular as it has. It has created such a special community and such a special show. Honestly, I'm really, really grateful for it, because it's given me a platform to start my career on, and it's given me all of these opportunities to grow where it probably would have taken me years and years and years if I didn't have this opportunity. Stray asks, what would you say your plans are for the future, career or personal life-wise? Keep being the amazing person you are. For the record, it's hard to come up with a good question. Thank you, Stray. So I did already kind of touch upon this, so I'll be kind of quick. I'd say my future plan is to be sort of a multimedia platform kind of an artist. I want to make my own music, be my own music artist, as well as participate in other musical projects like the band that I'm in. I also want to be a professional photographer and possibly like part-time film director. Probably one of my most important goals is to not only be able to create my own music and put out my own albums, but I want to also be able to put out music videos and or possibly even short films that go along with those albums. I want to be able to focus on art from all directions. I've also even been thinking about potentially putting out my photography on prints and maybe even selling my photography. So let me know if you guys actually would be interested in stuff like that. I will also be getting my own website up pretty soon so that you guys have a place to actually view all of my work. Amy asks, if you could go back in time and fix one thing, what would it be? Or do you regret nothing? Getting into the heavy stuff. I definitely say I don't regret anything. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. That's just a part of our existence and a part of life. And embracing those mistakes and learning from them, as cliche as it sounds, is really important. As long as you actually get that understanding, you're going to grow as a person. I've always been kind of a big believer in embracing life and being thankful for it in all of its ways. In part, that kind of means not having regrets. I have the opinion that no choice, big or small, that you make in your life is wrong or right. It was just the way that it happened. There's nothing wrong with any choices that you make, because life is kind of just leading you along, and whatever path you take is what you thought was the right or the best decision at the time. I've had to make choices in my life that were really, really difficult, but for the most part, I like the way that my life's turned out. It's a crazy mess, but it is absolutely wonderful. Jared asks, what is your favorite artist to listen to? For the past few years, I've been listening to Kimbra a lot. Over the summer of 2018, I listened to Tom Misch and Toro y Moi a lot. And over the past few months, I've listened to a lot of this band called Wild Ones, Blood Orange, Lord Huron, definitely Glass Animals as well. There's this new artist I found last week, actually. They're called April and Vista, and they're super, super cool. They're kind of a mixture of like indie R&B, neo-soul, really, really, really talented musicians. I also listen to Lewis Cole and Jacob Collier, Sufjan Stevens, if you know him. SS Baked Alaska asks, what was it like in high school while you were doing the songs on early volumes? Did other students know you were making music? What did your friends think, and did it change how people treated you, etc.? I have to say, it didn't change my experience all too much. It seems like they kind of just accepted me. Every once in a while, people would come up to me and tell me that they knew the music, and people that maybe even bullied me in the past, or people I just had never talked to before or had never been friends with would be like, oh, you do that thing? Yeah, that's like, it's pretty cool, yeah. And then like that would be it. Okay, so we're almost at the end. I'm gonna do a quick like sort of lightning round of maybe some questions that won't take me too long to answer that I still really want to get to. John Witt asks, who is your favorite metal artist? One of mine is Avenged Sevenfold, simply because they consistently have fantastic drums, guitar, and vocals. I would say probably my favorite metal artist is Protest the Hero. Micah asks, is it ever overwhelming when you're one of the biggest voices of a show as big as RWBY, like trying to get through school and whatnot? Yes, it's very overwhelming. Tristan says, All Our Days was a song written from Jeff to you. Do you have any plans on writing a reply to that song to Jeff? I've genuinely wondered about it since I heard it. All I can say is yes, definitely in the future. Hikari asks, how was your first experience up on stage? Was it nerve-wracking? Absolutely, yes. I think I was like 5 or something like that. I did my dad and I's church talent show, and I sang Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. I had to turn around at least every 15 seconds to have him mouth the words to me because I definitely didn't know them. Merc with a Mouth asks, who is your favorite villain from RWBY? Definitely Neo. I honestly just think she's really cool, and I cosplayed as her once and people told me that I looked like her, and it just made me really happy. I also, I'm not gonna lie, the whole like villain that doesn't speak thing, I've loved it in everything that I've ever seen that trope done in. She's so elegant and graceful with her fighting, and I love her outfit and her colors. Phil asks, favorite fruit, favorite vegetable? Here is the part where I admit I'm a very unhealthy person. I actually really don't like many fruits, don't like many vegetables, but regardless, I can tell you which ones I do like. My favorite fruit is probably like red grapes. Favorite vegetable, definitely zucchini and or yellow squash. Eat it all the time. Allie asks, how do you get through those sad songs like Forever Fall, Cold, Home, etc.? Basically, I don't. I kind of just have to pretend like it's not happening and let my mind wander so that I don't completely bawl, because then I won't be able to sing. Czar asks, favorite video game? Although I'm not really like a gamer avidly, I kind of like to keep up with video game culture at least. One of the only games I ever really did play, I absolutely loved the atmosphere, was called Dishonored. I also love watching gameplay of horror games. Arthur asks, who is your all-time favorite superhero or supervillain? Well, maybe I'll answer both of these, but superhero, I think I gotta go with Batman, but it depends on the version. I really like Spider-Man as well. Supervillain, definitely the Joker. I have at least like 5 posters of him on the wall behind me. I also really like Venom and Carnage. One Big Fox asks, what's your favorite Shrek movie? Definitely Shrek 2. Kenny asks, since you make dope-ass songs for RWBY with a lot of meaning behind them, do you know stuff about the show that we don't know or that hasn't been shown yet? Of course. And last but not least, Shelby asks, where are some of the places you'd like to travel to one day? And to that I say, literally everywhere. In particular, New Zealand, and I really want to go back to Europe. Well, there you go, guys. That is the end of my Q&A. I tried to answer a lot of questions. There were a shitload. but I hope that I answered them at least, decently well. And thank you so much for supporting me and wanting me to do this. I know it's not perfect and I am like by no means a YouTuber, but seriously, it means a lot. And I do have a lot of fun doing this. If you want to see more stuff like this, just let me know in the comments. I read almost every single one, so seriously, I definitely will if you want me to. One other thing is I'm also going to be in a podcast of my friend's. His name's Batana. It's called Trust the Process, and I'm not sure when it will be out, but definitely within like the next month, so I will let you guys know if you're interested. We talk about school and work and a little bit of RWBY music, so absolutely, if you guys want to check that out, I will let you know. Stay tuned for OK Goodnight. We're gonna be putting out a single really soon, and I really hope you guys are gonna like it. And again, seriously, just thank you so much for everything, because you have no idea how much I love you. And I really don't want to start crying in this video. We can save that for the reactions. Seriously, once again, thank you so much. I'll see you on the internet, I guess. Cue the fun outro. I have no self-confidence. Oh yeah.